Hello, everyone. Before diving into the analysis, I want to clearly bracket any potential issues regarding corruption within FIFA or unfairness from the referee. My focus today is going to be purely and strictly on the tactics. When we look at the tactical framework and the player rankings together, Egypt's loss wasn't due to a lack of effort. It was a structural cascading failure triggered by two specific substitution moments that completely broke Hossam Hassan's system. Here's exactly how those tactical dominoes fell. The core catalyst was the loss of Imam Ashur. Egypt's entire game plan relied on a compact 4-5-1 defensive block that could instantly transition into an explosive 4-2-3-1 counterattack. Ashur was the engine that made this transition possible. He had the press resistance to take the ball from the defenders under heavy Argentine pressure and carry it forward into the attacking third. But when Ashur went off injured and Hamdi Fethi came on, Egypt lost their structural bridge. Fethi is a physical destroyer, not a transition playmaker. Consequently, every time Egypt won the ball back in the second half, they couldn't retain it. The ball was immediately turned over, forcing the defense into an endless loop of absorbing pressure without any relief. Then came the second tactical miscalculation, subbing Haitham Hassan for Trezeguet. The management of the wings in the second half proved fatal. Haitham Hassan was started specifically for his defensive discipline. He was acting as a double layer of protection on the flank to stop Argentina's overlapping fullbacks. Yet in the 73rd minute, while leading 2-0, Hossein Hassan decided to hunt for a third goal by subbing on Trezeguet. While Trezeguet is a massive attacking threat, this substitution removed Egypt's defensive safety net on the flank at the exact moment the players were hitting a physical wall. This set up the final collapse in the last 12 minutes, because the midfield could no longer hold the ball due to Ashur exit, and the left flank was now tactically altered due to Haysam's exit. Argentina completely hijacked the rhythm of the game. In the 79th minute, fresh Argentine substitute overloaded the exhausted Egyptian fullbacks, resulting in the cross that led to Christian Romero's header to make it 2-1. By the 83rd minute, with Egypt's midfield entirely pinned back and exhausted, Lionel Messi found the exact central pocket of space, that half space that Ashur and Ataya had spent the first hour suffocating, allowing him to strike the equalizer. Finally, in the 92nd minute, completely drained both physically and mentally, the central defense missed a marking assignment on a late cross, allowing Enzo Fernandez to seal the 3-2 comeback. To summarize, Egypt didn't lose because Argentina's starting 11 outplayed them. Egypt lost because Argentina's squad depth allowed them to adapt, while Egypt's forced and tactical substitutions inadvertently dismantled the very defensive structure that had given them a 2-0 lead. Having said that, I have to say this is the World Cup that I've been most engaged with. Um, Growing up in Egypt, being Egyptian myself, of course, our love for football um, goes without saying. And, I grew up as a fan of Al Ahli Club. I grew up watching Hossam Hassan in the 90s playing as a striker. And I think his record actually beats Mohamed Salah's record, but he never made it as an international player. However, when he played for the Egyptian team, we did win the African Cup of Nations a number of times. Um, so, anyways, Al Ahly Club is the premier club in Egypt, and Egypt happens to be a major player when it comes to the African Cup of Nations. However, having said that, Egypt has struggled when it comes to qualifying in the World Cup historically, and I think that Hossam Hassan was a perfect coach that got us to the round of 16. So I was very excited about this team. I got to actually see them in person in Seattle and watch the Egypt versus Belgium game, and it was ecstatic. It was an ecstatic experience watching it in a stadium full of 66,000 people plus, and being surrounded by Egyptian fans and feeling the energy, which was quite. invigorating, to say the least. It was electric. It was an electric experience, and I grew up watching the World Cup. Grew up playing football. I wasn't that good, but I loved the sport. And of course, I call it football, not soccer, because I am from Egypt. And in any case, I was sharing this to kind of think about this in terms of sort of like think about the games in terms of chess. Of course, I see the arguments for unfairness and corruption. I'm not ignoring them, but I also wanted to offer a different perspective since I don't hear a lot of people talking about this question of tactics, which I think is very important. So, anyways, those are my 2 cents, and I hope that was helpful in any way.